have been hacked on.
A little bit.
Not by me.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it was me because there's zip ties, there's garden hose, there's tinfoil with duct tape. It's very much a me build.
The zip ties are all things that I'm doing that were just flopping around, so that's my attempt to make it a little bit better.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the bottom of that garden hose. It comes into this little cool. This goes into the intercooler. And there's the pipe there. So you can see it's leaking oil because turbos leak oil thing. But there's no clamp there, so I'm going to try to shove that in and put a clamp on there and see if that helps.
You having fun under there, Scott?
Yeah, it's just it's hard to reach anything. You got to twist, contort, and work on my...
You got to lift it with a jack first, and then you got to twist your arms up in there. Be a heck of a lot easier if this was on a Super Duty frame.
If it was just, 8 or 10 or 12 or 15 inches taller, it would be pretty sweet. Oh, well, we'll do it one of these days.
One of these days.
Start chopping control arms and just welding spacers. It'd be interesting to try. I'm sure, I guess, none of that moves, none of that vibrates, so if you could correct geometry and make it strong enough, it would work, probably.
Yeah.
Kinda.
No
Probably
problem.
not as good.
Whoa, you got a shiny bit going in up here. Look at that.
What's shiny?
Oh, it's just the nozzle for the compression test.
Oh, the coolant pressure, yeah.
Yeah, it's a red and shiny. I like shiny things.
Awesome mocker.
Well, we couldn't find any new coolant leaks. It appears to maybe have lost a teensy little bit of coolant since an hour round trip drive, or 2 hour round trip drive, and then another hour round trip drive. So that's very minimal by my calculations. But that also could have been just a little bit of air that was burbling out after we had tightened that one hose clamp that was down under the intake down there. So keep driving it and see if it does. Otherwise, just tell my brother that it leaks a teensy bit of coolant every once in a while and just top it off. Much faster, much slower than it was. I think by the time I parked it when the head was getting really bad, it was, I think for an hour round trip, the bottle was completely empty. So now it's not much better. There they are. Lift has finally arrived from Russia. Thanks, Russia. So shiny, so tightly packed. This unibody car is funny because you can jack it from the driver's control arm and it pretty much lifts it level. So stiff. All right, so we got, I think these are the front spacers. These go, and I think the spring sits up in the notch here. These appear to be cast aluminum. Interesting because the spacers are cut and they're grooved. So you can see they're milled. These are cast because they got a bunch of casting dimples and they seem kind of not the best of casting. And I think this is for the rears. Don't actually know where this goes. I think it might go above the spring there. If it doesn't go above the spring there, then I don't know where it goes. But got longer bolts, and I got a new tool to do the little clampy thing that we were having trouble with the other night. So rock and roll. All right, well, looking at this, we don't see how this is gonna space on here. And then I looked up again, and then I noticed that the thing just said Audi A4, which is what this is. And it didn't specify quattro rear-wheel drive. And then I noticed there were other ones that were specifying rear-wheel drive, or front-wheel drive, sorry, front. This is the rear. And then there was other ones that were specifying quattro, which had a different rear spacer thingy that had like a notch around for the spring to sit in, I think at the top, and it kind of notches in above and pushes the whole spring down. The seat down, which I guess would lift it up. We're not confident that this can fit back behind the spring with this because I'm tempted to just notch it out or just try sticking it in there and seeing what it does. The front should still work, but I don't, with how much not bigger tire we can fit in here anyway, we might not bother trying to make this work and just return these and see how much bigger it looks with just these cranked up, because got the right tool for this here guy, and now Real easy to crank. Well, if I find a tooth, real easy to crank this around, which is sweet. Right tool for the right job. So I think I'm just going to find a tooth. There. I'm just gonna push this up all the way, and that's gonna give us quite a bit more ride height just with that. And then get the bigger tires, I guess, and then go from there. Because I don't know that I really want to mess with trying to retrofit that in there. Well, I guess we could slot it in there, notch it out. Just seems like it's gonna slide around. I don't know. All right, so from the bottom to the thread there, or the top nut there, we're at like a little over 4 3/4. Barely see it there. Which that's 1 1/4 inches above where we started. So we're gonna go match the other side. All right, onto this side. Look how nice and drooped that spring is. We're gonna press that bad boy up and get it scrunched up so we can get some higher height. All right, now we're all scrunched up. That's 1.5 inches. 1 3/4. Tire back on, see what it looks like. All right, well, that's sitting back on the ground. That looks pretty good. It's definitely further up than the front. We're gonna measure it, make sure our 27s that we're shooting to get will fit under there. I think it'll be fine. It looks like on the rear, which is continuing to be a problem, we can only fit about 1 inch taller tire than we have on there. So I think we're gonna have to go back to our tire searches and readjust. But it looks pretty sweet as is. A little bit raked. A little bit more like a Hot Wheels car. My calculations show that we're looking at about 6 or so inches of clearance in the front now. Did not do a before measurement, but I'm guessing we were 5 or less before. I don't know if it shows up in the video or not, but this looks super raked from the front too, or it looks like the butt is sitting super high, which it is definitely sitting higher than the front, but it looks pretty funny. So I think we've determined that these front spacers would work, probably, but it's the same problem as the rears in that it would just squish the spring more from the top. So then I think the only benefit of putting this in there, so there's this, goes in above the spring, and that would push the whole spring down farther. And so then if we left these bottoms here, then that would just squish the spring more, which would be the equivalent of us cranking that up higher. So I guess it would lower the spring relative to the shock a little bit. But then we can just return these and hopefully we can turn them and just get some money back. Because this could still go up another couple inches. And then that sounds way easier and not that different from this. So, but the hope was that we could move the whole coil over bucket thingy down. And so that the coils and the shock would all be just lower. But I don't think that's what this does. So I guess the point of these kits is if you don't have adjustable coilovers, and you can just stick these in there and then they squashes them for you. But we have fancy aftermarkets here, and they're green. You can tell they're aftermarket and fancy because they're green. So we're just gonna crank this up a little bit taller, lift the nose up a little more, slap our skate plate on, which will hopefully come tomorrow, a week later than it was supposed to come, and we're good. Okay. This side was 1/4 inch lower than the other side. So we're gonna crank it up, maybe more than that. Ow, these things are freaking sharp. Precision sharpness. Okay, so this one's currently from the bottom of the top nut to the bottom thread is 3 5/8 approximately. And we ended up lifting the rear. What did we lift the rear to, Ben? 4 and something? 4.5? I don't know if they're the same, but so maybe we'll crank this one up above 3 5/8. And this one needs to go up 1/4 inch, at least 1/4 inch, to match the other side, and then more from there maybe. Alright, so we started at 3 5/8. Gained yeah. Oh yeah, now we're over. Now we're sitting at 3/4 plus 16th probably. Oh yeah, bud. Well, that would make it level with the other side. All right, we finally got the skid plate. It's time to unbox it and see what it's like in there. There we go. We got, kind of hard to tell, but that's substantial aluminum thickness. I was a little nervous. I emailed the eBay sellers and asked them how thick it was, and they're like, I don't know, the manufacturers don't tell us. Not helpful. Curious how thick this was, because the nicer version was 4 millimeters. Then I'm pretty sure this is a direct ripoff of. It's 4 millimeters of aluminum, so that seems pretty decent. All right, so these wings go up in here, I think, somehow or t'other, to protect the spray bottle for the washers and the AC lines over on that side. And then this goes in the middle, obviously, which does not look like it goes back far enough to hit the transmission, but it'll cover the oil pan, which is right there, the shiny bit, which is the main concern. So we got these rivet tool bolts, which fit in these here, guys, and then we smush them in.
Like go to tap them in?
I don't know if we have to tap them in. We might have to tap them in. We go one there and one there, and then we got to use this tool here to hold them in place. And we scrunch them down, and then it'll smush around the frame, and then they'll have a threaded in mounting point.
Or, you know, flaring out too far?
All right, so we got that in there. We got our little tool holding it out. Unclear whether it's for maybe to keep it from flanging out too far. And we're supposed to tighten this to 35 foot-pounds while keeping upward pressure on it. So maybe I should use 2 hands. All right, got that in. It's nice and tight now, which is fun. So do the same thing over here. Boom, second one in, easy peasy. Fitting. Those line up there. These front ones line up here. Oh, it looks the little wings came pre-etched with P and D on them, but they appear to be backwards because I think the point is it's supposed to go like this and then up into the fender and pull it in.
Don't they drive on the other side in China?
Oh, you know, that's a good point. Oh, they do some places.
In Hong Kong.
Yeah, that's a good point. So maybe that's the... So then these are supposed to go there. So I think we're just going to stick them up here since we don't have a fender liner. It's supposed to keep the fender liner from blowing onto your tire, but this hasn't had that. So it's just been blowing onto the tire, so now it's all gone. All right, so that's the main body snug down. It looks pretty good. I feel safe and protected. You can see over here. So that's the oil pan right over here. So this will take a pretty good hit, and there's a pretty good buffer zone too before it would crumple and hit it. So I think that I feel pretty good about that, and that seems plenty sturdy to take. It's not crazy hits, but you know, most things that recently had it. Driver's side or passenger side, which is labeled as driver's. It's gonna be over there somewhere. Here, protecting some of the AC lines over there, protecting that backside, but this is still exposed. So I think, you know, if for future builds, we need a steel skirt to come up from the skid plate to cover this front stuff. All right, driver's side in, got it bolted in, tucked in back there. The bottle here is still exposed. That's just the headlight or the windshield spare, but that looks pretty good. Alrighty, we got new spark plugs for here. Got the skid plate on. Just finished skid plate on. Ooh. Oh, ah. And then we do spark plugs, and then I think we're pretty much done for now. So that's exciting. Getting place. These ones are looking a little tired. Number 1 cylinder still looks dry and dark down in there. It's doesn't have can definitely see past my light, but it's dry down there. It looks good. Everything looks good. Holding coolant levels. We left it down low a little bit, and it's also up on stands, but we left it a little bit low so we could gauge better how it was doing. It looks fine. So yeah, got a wash on the Audi, ready to relist it because my brother has opted to not buy it, so that's okay. It looks so shiny and fresh. Ooh la la.